Afternoon. It's Tracy Farquhar coming to you live on May 24th with a psychic reading to offer you some general guidance for the week ahead. It's a new week, new energy. Let's see what we can do with it. So I've already pulled a few cards to get a sense of what this week is offering us as far as the energy. Of course, it's always up to us to make the best of that energy, to use it to our advantage, and to see what it has to offer us. So here we go. I have 4 cards pulled already. The first 3 represent past, present, and future. And the 4th card is what I call an action card. It sums up the meaning of the first 3 cards, and it gives you a sense of action to take going forward. So as usual, I'm going to go through each card. I'll let you know what I get. And we'll see how that applies to your life. So the first card in the past position is the Queen of Cups, and she looks like that in my deck. My deck is designed by Barbara Walker. So the Queen of Cups is a very feminine card. There is a strong sense of the divine feminine in the energy of this card. The Cups aspect of the tarot is always about the heart center. It's about emotions, feelings, intuition. And as it's represented in this card in a very feminine way, it's really encouraging you to focus on your heart center. Now, this is coming up in the past. So to me, it's asking you to use that intuitive sense of truth to really honor your emotions about anything from the past that may still be lingering in your mind, in your consciousness. We've been through some really difficult times. There's no two ways about that. And each of you has had your own individual experience of that. So the Queen of Cups is asking you to be gentle with yourself in your response to that. Even though things are starting to get better as a collective, we're starting to see progress in the world in a lot of ways with the pandemic and some other things. There's still a lot of emotional fallout from the things that we've been through. And again, you've had your own personal experience of that. So it's important to honor our emotions and not tell ourselves that we shouldn't be feeling something or try to gloss over some of the emotions about things that have happened in the past. You telling yourself that you're just supposed to forget the past isn't really healthy. Um, we don't want to dwell in the past. We do want to be present as much as possible. But the experiences of our past teach us a lot if we choose to look at them through that lens. So our emotions around the past experiences is something that we need to face and honor, express in a healthy way, and not just push aside or think that, well, that's over now, so I don't have to deal with those emotions anymore. Emotional energy is very powerful. And if you don't face it and deal with it and express it, it will linger. The expression of emotion is a way to help that emotional energy flow through you. We always see emotion as kind of watery energy because it flows, but we can also restrict it. So if we block it, it's like damming up a river. That water's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay stuck. So your emotional energy is going to stay stuck in your energy system, and it's not healthy. And after a while, that builds up. It can start to have a physical effect on you. So the Queen of Cups is asking you, again, to acknowledge what you're feeling in whatever way is healthiest for you. Maybe that's journaling. Maybe that's talking to someone about it. Maybe it's having a good cry, or doing something physical to work through some issues of anger or frustration. Whatever it is, it's always going to be beneficial to let that energy flow rather than restrict it, block it, or pretend it's not there. The divine feminine is a very powerful energy that I think is the main sense of what we are shifting towards right now. So we all know we're going through this really powerful shift. It's not new. It's been happening for a long time. And I think a large part of that shift is bringing a sense of that divine feminine back into the spotlight where it belongs as something that is needed and powerful and something that should be honored within each of us, no matter what our gender. So, with this card coming at the past, I think it's also expressing how that shift is occurring, has already started to occur, and encouraging us to honor that shift within ourselves as individuals as well. The collective, as the collective energy, we're experiencing that in a collective sense, as a worldwide sense, but we each are individuals and we will have the opportunity to experience it in our own way. So this is saying, how can you honor that in yourself? Again, there's nothing to do with gender. It has to do with honoring that part of ourselves that lives within the heart that we have kind of maligned for a long time, and that we've seen as weakness. Our sensitivities, our emotions, our feelings, our intuition, all of that energy, compassion, love, it's all contained in that heart center, and we need more of it. Clearly, we know that now. So how can you be more of it for yourself? How can you be more compassionate for yourself? How can you listen to your intuition more? And how can you, create the energy that's going to participate in the shift for the collective? This is, what you're being asked to consider and think about this week. The second card in the present time is the Temperance card. It's a very pretty card. So it come up upside down, reversed. So this is about the now. And the Temperance card is about creating peace. It's not about waiting for things to be peaceful in order to feel peace. It's not about, thinking that we have to create peace in the larger realm. It's understanding that as we create peace in ourselves, we're also affecting the larger realm. Just very similarly to the Queen of Cups. It's about our individual experience of our sense of peace that's going to contribute to the world's sense of peace. We can't change the world individually, but we can participate in changing things by working on ourselves. So with this card being reversed, the way that I read a reversed card is that it's pointing inward more than outward. There is a sense of wanting you to focus on your own sense of peace. How can you create peacefulness within yourself, no matter what is going on in the external world? There will be times when, and there have been plenty, where the external circumstances shake us out of that peaceful center, and we have to acknowledge that, again, going back to the first card. But we can always find our way back to our peaceful center. We do that with perspective and focus, what we're choosing to attach our energy to, where we're choosing to involve our energy, the people that we're spending time with, the things that we're exposing ourselves to. How much news are you watching? How much do you really need? How much social media are you involved in? How much do you really need? What's healthy for you? How much are you taking care of yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally? And where's your focus? We have to acknowledge the things that are going on in the world that we don't like, but how much do we need to attach to that? Because we can still experience joy, we can still experience beauty, even when there's a lot of turmoil in the world. So the Temperance card is asking us how much responsibility we're taking for creating our own sense of inner peace, and how much of that are we giving away to other people, other circumstances, other things that are going on in the world. How much of your peacefulness are you usurping to some external source? And that's not to say that we won't, that we can get ourselves to the place where we're not affected by those things. And that we won't sometimes find it difficult to be at peace. That's human and that's okay. But how much time are we going to spend in that place? How long are we going to allow ourselves to be thrown out of that place of peace? And how can we cultivate it more? What makes you feel peaceful? Maybe meditation, walking in nature, spending quiet time on your own, reading, journaling, doing something nice for yourself. Think about that and practice some of that this week. The third card in the future is actually a card about the past, so it's interesting that it's come up this way. The future card is the Six of Cups. So once again, we have cups, which is the emotional, feminine energy. And the word on the top of the card is childhood. So this is a card about understanding that a lot of what we believe about ourselves and believe about the world are things that were taught to us in childhood. Either taught to us in a formal way or something that we picked up as truth from some authority figure, parents, teachers, or anyone else who's in authority. We pick up our sense of identity, a lot of it, from our youth. When we're forming our identity, it is shaped a lot by what's reflected back to us about ourselves. It's important to remember that, because that means that not all the things that we think about ourselves are true. Not all the limitations that we set up for ourselves about what we can achieve in the future, and this is a future card, is true. It's something that someone told us or implied to us at some point. If somebody got impatient with you or frustrated with you, or someone said, you're not good at that, or you're not good enough, or, I don't like what you're doing, or, you're never going to get this. All the things that people can say as an offhand remark that stay with us for a long time and become part of our identity. Those things can limit what we choose to achieve in the future. It's also, again, coming back to the idea of each of us participating in the collective in an individual way. The more we understand that about ourselves, and the more we are determined to create a sense of truth around who we are and what we can accomplish, we are also contributing that energy to the collective so that we are more motivated to make change. We're more motivated to make the world a better place. To participate in that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go into politics or that you have to, go out into the world and do huge things. If you feel called to do that, absolutely. But most of us don't. And so sometimes we wonder, how can we affect change when we're just one tiny piece of a giant collective? Well, we affect change by changing ourselves. So what you're stopping yourself from doing, or what you've convinced yourself you can't do, or that you've, the sense that you're not effective, those are things that you can change. If you're willing to do that introspection, if you're willing to change the way that you're talking to yourself in your mind, and you're willing to create a more truthful sense of your identity. Imagine if even a small percentage of us was doing that. This would create a huge wave of change in the world. So I think there's a lot of introspection being encouraged for this week, a lot of personal responsibility, and the sense of really feeling accountable for the energy that you're putting out into the world seems to be the message for this week. Yes, we're all tasked just by being human with, wanting to improve and wanting to know ourselves better. But understand that's also how we affect the collective. Each of us is part of a whole. So when you're working on yourself, you're working on all of us. The action card is the Four of Swords. It's come up reversed as well. And this is the card that kind of sums everything up here. So we've had these two Cups cards, and then we've had the Temperance card, which is also very watery, So we've talked a lot about emotions and feelings and intuition and the heart center. Swords is more about how we think. And that's why it's the most challenging of the suits in the tarot, because that's where we get into trouble in our minds and our thoughts. And, again, we talked about that with the Six of Cups. We create ideas in our minds and believe them. There's a quote from somebody that says people make stuff up, and I think it's from The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, actually. People make stuff up and then they believe it. We do it all the time. So the Four of Swords is, the word on the card is seclusion, and it's encouraging a kind of pulling back of your energy. Again, that sense of introspection, of, really looking at where your thoughts are going, how you're feeling, what you need, maybe an actual literal sense of having some downtime with yourself. As things are opening up in the world, there is a great sense of wanting to get back out into the world and participate and be in groups, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we may be feeling a little hesitant about that. It's been a while since we could do that, and it's not just because of the pandemic. We might just be feeling not ready. As an introvert, I understand that, and so I'm sure some of you relate to that as well. So again, there is this sense of understanding that we need to honor ourselves. We need to really set the boundaries that say, okay, I'd love to do that, but I'm just feeling like I need some time to myself right now. Or, I'd love to help you, but I just don't have the energy right now. Or I'd love to come to this big party, but it's just not feeling comfortable for me right now. Being able to be discerning about what you do with your energy and where you put it, and where you put your physical self in the world. Make that decision yourself. Don't let somebody else make that for you. Don't let some sense of obligation, responsibility, overtake your inner needs. It's true that sometimes we have to do stuff we don't want to do, but sometimes we don't really have to. Sometimes we can say no, and we just feel uncomfortable saying no, so we don't. So there's a lot of introspection being encouraged for this week. So, I would really encourage you to take some time every day, not just, once a week, or not just, as a big, long hour-and-a-half meditation, but several times throughout your day. Just take a moment to stop, breathe, stretch, step outside, check in with yourself. How am I feeling? Where are my emotions? What do I need? Do I need interaction with others? Do I need some seclusion? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to motivate myself to move forward? Am I pushing myself too hard? Am I pushing myself out of my peaceful center? And again, what creates peace for me? What creates some sense of ease? Let me set an intention around that this is a week where there's more ease in my life, that I can flow better with what's going on. And I'm not resisting or pushing against something quite so much. Let me focus on myself. Even though there's a lot of stuff going on out there, I understand that by focusing on myself and my own needs, I am participating in all of that stuff as well. Because, I'm not an insignificant speck of dust in the universe. I'm a powerful being of light and energy who has a huge influence, much greater than we could ever imagine. Huge influence on the collective. And so I want to, the energy that I emit, I want it to be the best energy I can give to the world. And in order for it to be the best I can give, I need to be at peace. And again, if I'm not at peace, that's okay. Let me sit with that for a while and see what I need to help me move through that. So enjoy that week of introspection. Take advantage of it. If you would like any personal guidance from me, I have a special running until Friday for 50-minute and 20-minute readings. You can check that out on my website, which is just myname.com, tracyfarquhar.com. Sometimes just a little guidance will help you to move into that inner place and see what it is that you really want, what you really need, and where you really want to go going forward. Be gentle with yourself this week, and I hope you have a great one. I should be back next Monday. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you then.